In this video, we will learn how we can use Rmdir command and how we can use rm command in Linux. So let's get started. We will start with Rmdir command. Now this Rmdir command we can use to remove the directory or directory structures. So let's see how we can use it. So you just need to give Rmdir command in order to use it, and the option you can give, so you can just write options here and then the directory name. So I will just say dir. Okay, so this is how you can use it. Now for example, I will just cd to my desktop, for example, and then here once again I will create a directory by mkdir command and I will name it as abc, and my directory is created, you can see here, right? So for example, I want to remove it, so I can just use rmdir command to remove it. So just write rmdir and the directory name and press enter, and it's going to remove your directory. Now for example, you have a directory structure. For example, I want to create a directory structure, for example mkdir a/b/c/d/e, for example. So this is the directory structure I want to create, and for this I need to use -p command, right, for parents, and then press enter, and then it's going to create this directory structure. Now to see this directory structure, you can just write ls -R, and when you press enter, it's going to show you the directory structure. So you can see at the top we have directory A, and inside directory A we have directory B, and inside directory B we have C, and inside C we have D, and inside D we have E. Okay, so this is the directory structure which we have created. Now in order to remove it, you can just give the same command, for example rmdir, and then just give a/b/c/d/e, for example. Okay, and when you give this command, it's going to remove or try to remove this directory, but you can see it hasn't removed this directory actually, right? And what it does is, let's see once again, ls -R, that it hasn't removed this directory. It has only removed the top level directory, which is this one, which is directory E, right? Now in order to delete the whole directory structure, what you need to do is you need to use this flag, which is -p, which we have seen in the last video also for parent, right? And E is already been deleted with this command without -d. So without -p, it's going to remove only the top level directory, which is at the top, which is E in our case, right? Now in order to remove the whole directory structure, you just need to give -p flag and then press enter, and it's going to remove the whole directory structure for you. Okay, I'm going to clear the terminal, and then once again I want to create the same directory structure, and I want to show you one more thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create this directory structure, and in order to execute the previous command you have executed, you just need to press up key or up arrow key, and it's going to give you the last command you have executed, right? And I want to create this directory structure once again, and I will press enter, and it creates the directory structure once again, and then I will just do ls_R, and you can see the directory structure is created. And then there is one command, which is this rmdir -p, and then for example you want to remove the command and see the output. Okay, so you can just give this flag, which is for verbose. Okay, so this flag V is called verbose flag, And this verbose, if you don't know what is verbose refers to the mode or setting that displays or gets extended information. So it will give you what's happening in the background, the information of all that, right? And then I will press enter, and you can see how this rmdir command is working. So first of all, it has removed the top level, which is E directory, then D, then C, then B, then A. So it works from the top level directory to the parent directory, you can say. Okay. So if you want to display the extended information, you can use this V flag with P. Okay. Now, for example, once again, I will just give the clear command, which will clear my terminal, and once again, I will create this directory structure, which is a/b/c/d/e, and it's going to create it. And once again, I will give this command, which is ls minus capital R. So our directory structure is created, right? Now, for example, I want to cd to, for example, A to the B directory. Okay. So now I am in the B directory. Okay. And here I want to create a file. So I will just write cat, and I will just say abc.txt file I want to create. And then I will just give some random text here, and I will just press Control D to indicate the end of the file. And now this B directory contains this abc.text, and this we can verify by once again ls minus capital R command. And now you can see in our B directory we have abc.text. So let me go back to directories above. So we are in the desktop, so it'll go one directory back, right? If you remember how we can use cd, then you know how to use these dot dot also, right? And these double dot means we want to go one directory ahead or to the parent of the current directory. Okay, so now we are in the desktop, and then once again we will give ls minus capital R, and you can see the directory structure. So we have A, then we have B directory inside A, and inside B directory we have this text file, and then C directory, you can see. So this is the directory structure. And once again, for example, I want to use this rmdir command to remove the directory structure, and let's see what happens. So when I press enter, it will give me the error in between. So it says fail to remove directory A/B, directory is not empty, or directory not empty, right? And this is due to the fact that if the directory contains a file, the rmdir command will not work for that directory. So if the directory contains any file, you cannot use rmdir command directly, right? So I will just give this command, which is ls minus R once again, and let's see what it gives. So you can see it has deleted the directory E, D and C for us because they are empty, and removing starts from the the top level. So it has deleted E because it was empty, then it has deleted D because it was empty, and then it has deleted C directory because it was empty. But when it's trying to delete the B directory, it contains a file, so it cannot delete this B directory, and that's why this error is coming, right? So it removes the file in a structure, right? So you can see at this moment it has given us this problem or error because it's trying to delete the directory, but directory contains a file. Now if the directory contains a file, there is another command you can use, which is rm command, and this command we can use to remove the files and directories. Okay, so just give rm and then your directory. So now we only have a and b directory because c d e directories are already deleted, right? And if you want to delete the whole directory structure, you just need to give this flag, which is -r, and it stands for recursive. Okay, and we can just add this v flag also for just displaying the information what's happening in the background, as we have done with this rmdir command, right? So if you will give this command, it's fine, but if you want to print the information, you can give this v also with rm command and press enter, and you can see it has removed the text file first, and then it has removed the directory structure. Now you may have observed here that it has only deleted our text file and the b directory, because in order to use the rm command, you just need to give the parent directory name. So you just need to give rm and then -r and then a would be enough to delete this directory and the child or subdirectory inside this directory, or whatever file it contains inside this directory. Okay, so you just need to give the parent directory and nothing else, and I have given the parent directory as a/b, so it consider the parent directory as this b directory inside a directory. So it has only removed the text file inside b directory and b directory, not a directory. And if you want to remove a, just give the parent directory, which is a itself, and press enter, and it's going to remove this directory. So this is the brief information about using rm command and rmdir command. You can use man pages, or you can refer to man pages to know about more about these commands. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. In this video we will see how we can use cp command in Linux. cp command is used to copy files and directories in Linux. So let's see how we can use it. So just open your terminal by pressing Ctrl Alt T, and let's see what are the options we have for cp command. So for giving cp command, you use cp and then options, and then you can write the source. So you just need to give the name of your source and then the destination. Okay, so cp and then comes the options, for example -i or -v or other options, and then you give the name or location of your source file or directory, and then you need to give the name of the destination where you want to copy the source, right? So let's get started. First of all, I will cd to my desktop, and in here in the desktop you can already see that I have two directories and a file. So for example, I want to copy a file into a new file. So what I can do is I can just write cp, and then I can just write the name of my file 1 which I want to copy, and then I want to copy this file into a new file called file2.txt, which doesn't really exist. So what the cp command is going to do is, if this file doesn't exist, is going to create the new file and then copy the content of file 1 to file 2. So let's see what happens when we give this command. So you can see the new file is created and the content of file 1 will be copied to file 2. So let's cat, for example, file 1 first, and you can see the content of it, and then let's cat the content of file 2, and you can see the same content, right? Now let me clear the terminal. Now the second thing we can do here is we can copy a file to a directory. So for example, I can just use cp, and then I can just write the name of the file, and for example I want to copy it to a directory 1 which is empty right now. So let me show you first of all, before giving this command, the content of the directory 1. So I will just use ls and then directory name, right, and press enter, and it shows nothing. That means directory is empty, right? So now I will do cp and then the name of the file. For example, I want to copy file 1 and then the name of the directory, which is my destination where I want to save my file, right? And I will press enter, and it's going to copy this file to directory 1. And let's do ls directory 1 once again, and you can see file 1 is now existing inside directory 1, right? So it has copied the file 1 into the directory 1. Now for example, I want to copy file 2 also into the directory 2. What I can do is I can just write file 1 which is already copied. If you want to copy the multiple files, you can just do it something like this. So you can give the multiple sources here, and then at the end you can give the name of the destination. So this time I'm going to give the directory 2, for example, to copy to it. So I will just press enter, and then I will ls to directory 2, and you can see these two files are transferred to the directory 2, right? Now for example, I want to transfer these two files to directory 1, but we already know that file 1 is already existing inside the directory 1, and for example we don't want to overwrite the file 1 which is inside directory 1. So this command is going to overwrite the file 1 because it's already existing in the directory 1. So to avoid the overwriting, what you can do is you can give this command or flag, which is -i, which stands for interactive, which asks before overwriting. Okay, so when you press enter, it says cp overwrite directory 1 file1.txt. so it will ask you the question, and if you give y here, then it's going to overwrite your file 1, and if you give n here, then it's going to not overwrite, right? So we are going to give n, so it's going to only copy file 2 and it's not going to overwrite file 1. Okay, so you can use I for the interactive interface, right? Now for example, you can give the absolute path here or the relative path, right? So for example, I will cd to my directory 1 here and cd to the directory 1, and let's do ls here, and for example we want to give the cp command from here. So the file 2 and file 1 exist in the desktop, not the directory 1, and right now we are in dir1 directory. So we can just go one step back or one folder above by using these two dots, as you already know, and you can give the name of the file, for example file1.txt, and then once again dot dot, and then this time file2.txt, right? And then for example, you want to copy it in the current directory you are already in, you can use this dot to show or indicate that this is our current directory, or destination is our current directory. So press enter, and it's going to copy these two files to the directory 1, and we have not given -i flag here, so it will overwrite these two files. Okay, now this dot here means the current directory. So whenever you do ls -a, is going to show you dot and then dot dot and then file1 and file2.txt. So this dot means the current directory. So if you give this dot, it means the current directory. You can also give this command something like dir1, something like this, but you are already in the directory, right? So you can give the absolute path of the directory, for example, right? So for example home, and then your username, and then the desktop which you are in, so you are in the desktop directory here, right? And then dir1 directory 1. Okay, so you can give this kind of absolute path also, or a dot also, or this kind of relative path also to copy your files, right? Now there is one more interesting thing I want to show here, and first let me clear the terminal. And for example, I want to copy the directory 1 to a directory 3 which doesn't really exist. So what I can do here, so I can do something like this: cp and then dir1, and let me go to the desktop first of all. So I will just do cd dot dot, so I will be in the desktop, and then I will just do cp and then dir1, and then I will give the name of my directory which doesn't really exist, which is directory 3, right? And let's press enter and let's see what happens. And it's going to give error, and it says omitting directory dir1. And why it's doing this? Because this directory contains some files, and then it's not able to copy this directory to directory 3. So in order to copy a directory which contains a file or files, you can give this command, which is minus capital R or small r. I think both are same, but mostly we use capital R, which is for recursive copying, right? So press enter, and then you can see dir3 is created, and we can list out the content of dir3, and you can see the content of directory 1 is transferred to directory 3. Now you may ask why this directory 1 is not inside directory 3, right? Because cp command, for example, when you use for files, it will transfer the file inside the directory 3, right? So whenever you give a command something like this, and if the destination doesn't exist, then what it's going to do is going to transfer the content of the directory or source directory to the destination directory and create this directory first, and then transfer the content. Now once again, when you give the same command, if the directory already exists, okay, so once this directory already exists and you give the same command, let's see what happens. And I'm going to just give not I but V flag here for verbose, and you already know what this means is, and I'm going to press enter, and you can see what happens here. So what's happening here is it's transferring directory 1 to directory 3, and then it's transferring the file inside the directory 1 to directory 3, and we are going to give the same command ls directory 3 here, and now you can see directory 3 is transferred inside the directory 1 is transferred inside the directory 3, right? So if the file already exists, it's going to copy this directory 1 inside the directory 3. If file doesn't exist or directory doesn't exist, then it's going to just copy the content of the source to the destination. Okay, so this is how you can use a cp command, and for more detail you have this command man cp for seeing all the options which you can use with the cp command. And when you press Q, it's going to quit. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please rate, comment and subscribe, and bye for now. Hello guys, welcome to the next video on Linux command line tutorial for beginners, and in this video we will see how we can use mv command in Linux. So let's get started. I will just press Ctrl Alt T to open my terminal, and you can see on my desktop I have a directory and a file, right? So first of all I will browse to my directory using cd command and press enter, and I can ls here, and I can see I have directory 1 and file 1. Now to use mv command, we have this option. So you use mv command with some options, and then you have a source and then a destination. Okay, so first you use mv as a command, then you can use options like -v or -I or -f. Then comes your source file. It can be one or many files or directories, and then comes the destination file or directory. Okay, so let's see how we can use it. So first of all, I have this file1 and I want to use mv command to change the name of this file, for example. So I will just use mv and then the name of the file, and then I will just give some other name to the file, for example file2.txt. okay, and press enter, and you will see here this file becomes file2. okay, and the content of the file will remain the same. So I can use cat command to display the content of the file. So just use cat, and I have this content in my file1, which is also transferred to the file2. Now for example, I want to create a new file and move the content of file2 to file 3, for example, and I want to just transfer all the content of file2 to file3. So I can just use mv and then file2, which is a source, and then I can just write file3.txt here and press enter, and you will observe here that file2 is gone now and file3 is created, and the content of the file, we can check, is the same as file2 because it has changed the name of the file and moved the content of the file to file3. So if the file doesn't really exist, then it's going to create the file, the simple formula of this. Now for example, I want to move this file3 to directory1. I can just use mv and then the file name and then my directory name. Right now, for example, I will just open this directory, and you can see here file2 is already there, and I'm going to transfer file3 also there. Right, so I will just press enter, mv and the file name and the destination name, and then I will ls directory1, and let's see the content of it, and you can see now it has file2 and file3 both. Okay, so in this way you can transfer the file or move the file to a directory using the move command. Okay, now for example, I will create a new file, for example file3 once again. So I will just say file3.txt, and this is a new file I want to create on the desktop, and the content, for example, will be some random text here. Okay, and I will just press Ctrl D to end the file. So this is file3, and I want to move this file to directory1, which already have file3. So let's see what happens. Now this file3 new file contains random text, and the old file, which is in the directory 3, contains this kind of text. I can show you this kind of text. Right, so now what I want is I want to transfer this file3 to the directory1. So I can just use mv, and then I can use the name of the file, and once again what I have done is I've given the destination name, which is directory1. Right, now let me open the directory1 and we will see what happens and the result of it. So I will just press enter, and it will move the content of file3, which is on the desktop, to the directory1. And what happens here is it will overwrite. So the file3 which was there on the desktop is overwritten, and this file in the directory1 is overwritten by the desktop file3. Okay, so I can just cat dir1 file 3 for example, and the content will be the random content which we have given, which is the new file 3 which we have created, right? So if you want to move the file which already exists, then it will overwrite the file. Okay, so for example, once again let's see an example, but this time what we are going to do is we are going to do it with the some command. So first of all, I will create once again file 3, and this time I will once again give some random text here and press Ctrl D. And this time, instead of using this command like this, I will use a flag I, and flag I or -I stands for interactive mode. So it will ask you if you want to override the file which was already present in the directory 1 with the same name. So I'm going to just press enter, and you can see it will ask me if I want to overwrite, and when I press Y and press enter, it's going to overwrite the file, or if I press N and press enter, it's not going to overwrite the file which was already there in directory 1, right? So I will press N and it will not overwrite. Okay, let me clear the terminal. Now let's create a directory. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I will just use mkdir command, which we have learned in the previous video, and I will create a directory 2 for example. Oops, the command was wrong. It was mkdir, not makdir. Okay, and it's going to create this directory 2, right? Now for example, I want to transfer the directory inside the directory 2. So for example, I want to transfer the directory 1 inside directory 2. I can use the move command. So I can just write directory 1, mv directory 1, which is my source, and I want to move it inside directory 2. So I can just write the destination name, which is directory 2. And by the way, directory 2 is right now empty. You can see there is no content inside this. And when I press this command and press enter, it's going to move directory 1 inside directory 2. So we can just ls inside directory 2, and you can see directory 1 is there, and inside directory 1 there was some file, right? So I can just write directory 1, directory 2, and inside that I have directory 1, and I can ls the files inside the directory 1 like this, and you can see the content is also moved with the directory. Okay, so you can move the directory and its content using mv command also. Now let's see what happens when the directory which we want to move this directory to doesn't really exist, right? So I will just use mv, and I will just write directory 2, and I want to create a new directory and move the content to this directory 3, right? So when you do this, press enter, the name of the directory is changed and content is moved to this directory 3, and the directory 2 is disappearing, right? So if the directory doesn't exist, it's going to create a directory and then move the content of the directory inside directory 3. So it will not move the directory 2 inside directory 3, but the content of directory 2 inside directory 3. So you can see there is no directory 2 inside directory 3. It's going to create the directory, and you can say it's like renaming the directory if the directory doesn't really exist. And if the directory already exists, then it's going to transfer directory 2 inside directory 3. Okay, so I hope you understood this basic concept which I want to convey here, right? Now there are many commands which we can use. For example, mv -v for verbose, and for example, once again I want to transfer the file 3 to the directory, so I will just give the directory name and press enter, and it gives you the explanation what this command has done. So it has moved this file 3 to the directory 3, right, and it has overwritten this thing, right. And there are many commands, and these command you can know by using this command which is man and then mv command. Okay, so just write man and mv, and it's going to give you the whole description of using mv command, right. So you can use -b with mv command or -f with mv command. We have already seen, and these are the description of all the flags and options you have with mv command. So just use this and read these descriptions, and you will be good to go. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please rate, comment and subscribe, and bye for now. Hello guys, welcome to the next video on Linux command line tutorial for beginners. In this video we will see how we can use less command in Linux. Less command we can use to read the files, or if you want to search something inside the file, something like patterns or some word, you can use less command conveniently to read or search in the file. So let's see how we can use it. So first of all, I'm going to open my terminal, and first of all I will navigate to my desktop where this big.txt file is there. So first of all I will cd to the desktop, and first of all because this is a big file and I want to, for example, see the content of this big text file, I want to use cat for you, because we have learned you can use cat to print the content of the file. So I'm going to use big.txt, and when I press enter, you can see it's printing the content of this text file, and because it's really big, it's printing and printing and printing. And for example, you want to read from the starting of this file when it's done printing, and you want to go up. Let's see what happens. So first of all, let it complete. So it's completed, and when I want to go to the top and I want to read the content, the terminal doesn't allow me to go beyond a certain level. So it's not going to the starting of the text file. That's why we can use less command to overcome these problems. Plus less has its own features, right? So I will just first of all clear the terminal, and now I'm going to use less for reading the file content. So first of all, for using less, you just need to write less and the name of the file, which is big.txt, right, and press enter, and you can see it will show you the content of the file from the starting. So this is the starting of the file, and it will show you some text until this terminal allows it to show it. And if you want to see the content of the file more, you can hit the down arrow key. So down arrow key to go one line down at a time. You can see you can read down, and if you hit up arrow, then you can read up, or you can browse over the file in the up. Now if you want to go through the file page by page, what you can use is you can use a space key to navigate to your file page by page. So when I press space, it's going to show me the next page, next page, next page, next page, and it will show me again and again next page. So for the going through the page downwards, you can use space key. Now if you want to go upwards page by page, you can use capital B or B key. Okay, and you can just press B, and you will go one page up at a time when you press B. Okay, now if you want to go at the end of the file, you can just press capital G. So press Shift and G. So it will be capital G. So press Shift and G, and it will browse to the end of your text file, right? And now if you want to go at the top, at the starting of your file, you can just type 1 and then G, and it will go at the beginning of the file. So capital Z using Shift G at the end, and when you press 1G, then it will go at the top, right? Once again, capital G at the end, and when I press small g also, it will browse me to the top also. So small g for going to the top and capital G for going to the end, right? Now for example, I want to go at the top, and now I want to search something inside the text file from up to down. So I can use this / which says this less that we want to search from up to down some word, and the word, for example, we are looking for is book inside this text file, right? And when you press enter, it's going to show you or highlight the first book keyword which you are searching for, which is this one. And now to search or to go to the next book in the text file, you can press N to go to the next item, which is book, right? So you can see there are so many book, and we are searching, or we are going from top to down, right? So you can see there are so many book words inside this text file. And when we are done with the searching and it's the end of the file, it will say pattern not found. So now this book is the last iteration of this word book, right? After that, when you press next or N, it's going to show this message which says pattern not found. Now sometimes you may want to search from down to up, and for this you can use this question mark for searching from down to up, and then you can give your keyword which you are looking for, and press enter, and the first word from the down is this itself. And then when you press N, it will go through this text file and highlight the book from down to up, right? So you can just press N key to see where this book is used, this word is used, right? Now if you want to quit less command, you just need to press Q. It will quit your less command, right? So this is how you can use less command in Linux. And if you want to know more about less, you can just write man and then less, and here is the description of less command and the flags and the keys you can use with less commands. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Please rate, comment, subscribe, and bye for now. Hello guys, welcome to the next video on Linux command line tutorial for beginners. In this video we will learn how to use touch command in Linux. The touch command is the easiest way to create new empty files in Linux. It is also used to change the timestamps on existing files or directories. So let's see how we can use it. So first of all, I will open my terminal. And as you can see on the desktop, I have a directory called dir. So I will just cd to the desktop first of all. So cd desktop, and then I will just cd inside the directory. Okay, and let's list all the contents of the directory. So I will just do ls-l for long list. And you can see this directory contains 5 files: file 1, file 2, file 3, file 4, and file 5. And you can see the time of the files, which is the timestamp at which they are created or updated, right? Now for example, we want to create a new empty file. We can use a touch command to create a new empty file. and to create a new empty file you just need to write touch, which is a command, and then there can be options for touch, but the simplest way is to give the name of the file. So you can see the directory already contains 5 files and I want to create a 6th file, so I can just say file 6 and press enter, and then I will just list all the files once again, and now you can see file 6 is created, right? And the timestamp of this file is the time right now, which is 11:22 p.m., right? Which is the creation of this file, timestamp of this file, right? And these files are created at 10:05 or 10:05 p.m. you can say, right? So the first use of touch command is to create a empty file. You cannot create a directory using a touch command. You can only create an empty file, right? Now earlier with touch command I have only used the name of the file. I can even give the extension of the file, for example file 7.txt or cpp or any other extension, and it will create it. Okay, and let's list out all the contents, and you can see the file is created, and because we are using the long listing, so it's also showing the permissions and the timestamp at which they are created or modified, right? Now the second use of touch command is to change the timestamp of a file. So let me clear this terminal first, and I will do ls-l once again, and you can see the time at which these files are created or modified. Now for example I want to change the timestamp on these files at which they are modified or created. Then what I can do is I can use the touch command on them. Okay, so if the file doesn't exist, and if you use touch command, then it's going to create this file, right? And if file already exists, and you can if you use the touch command on this file which already exists, it's going to update the timestamp of this file to the current timestamp, right? So you can see current timestamp is 23:24, and I want to change the timestamp of this file 1. I can just do touch file 1 and press enter, and once again I can do ls-l, and you can see file 1 timestamp was earlier 22:05, and right now it's 23:24, right? So in this way you can update the timestamp of the file using a touch command. Okay, so these are the two basic uses of touch command. First is to create empty files, and second is to update the timestamp of a given file. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please rate, comment, subscribe, and bye for now. Hello guys, welcome to the next video on Linux command line tutorial for beginners. In this video we will see how we can use Nano command in Linux. Now Nano is a small and friendly text editor, and beside the text editing, Nano offers many extra features like an interactive search or replace, and it also has some other features like go to line or column number it can show, or it can give you the indentation in the file, or some other features. So let's see how we can use it. So first of all I'm going to just change my directory to desktop, and in here, for example, I want to create a new file. First of all, Nano can be used for creating a new file also. So just write Nano, and then you just need to write the name of your file. For example, file.txt, I want to create this file, right? And I will press enter, and then this is going to open this file and create this file in the terminal, right? Now you may observe here that the file is open, but it's not shown here. Okay, so this file is not shown because we haven't saved the file. So Nano has created a file for us, but we need to save it in order to see it here on the desktop, because we are in the desktop right now, right? So for example, we write something here, for example ABC, and for example BCD and EFG, for example, some random text. Okay, now in order to save this text inside this file.txt, what you need to do is you need to press Ctrl O. Okay, you can see this command is given here, which means write out. Okay, so when you press Ctrl O, it means write out. That means writing out to the file. So just press Ctrl O, and this Ctrl O will give you this kind of information which says file name to write and the name of the file. So our file name is file.txt, which is okay. So you just need to press enter, and it's going to save the content of the file. And as soon as I press enter, you can see file.txt is created here, and when I open it, it's going to show the content of the file which we have inserted using Nano, right? Now Nano has some other controls. For example, Control G will get the help, or Control X, when you press the Control X, is going to exit from the Nano command. So let's press Control X first. So I'm going to press Control X, and we are out of the Nano command. Once again, once the file is created, then we can edit the content of the file by the same command, Nano and the file name. And you can see we have written this content to our file, and now for example I want to edit it. So I will go to this line, for example, and you can see there is a command called Control K for cut, right? Normally in the normal editors we have Control C for Control X for cutting, and Control V for pasting, right? But in here we have Control K for cutting a line, for example. So I will just press Control K. It's going to cut this line, and for example I want to go down and paste it here. I can press Control U. You can see this command, which is Control U, which stands for uncut. So whatever you have cut, I will press Control U. You can paste it like this. Okay, and then press Control O to save the content, which is going to ask you if you want to save it. When you press enter, the file content will be changed, and you can see the effects here in the, you can see like this. Okay, so Nano can be used to create a different kind of files, and for example I will just exit from this Nano command, and for example I want to create a C++ file. So I will just press Nano, and I will just say abc.cpp for C++ file, right? CPP is the extension of C++ file. And when I press enter, and in here, for example, I want to write some code, so I will just write IO stream, for example, and we need to include it, right? So hash include IO stream, and you can see here it's giving us the color. So Nano has already recognized that it's a CPP file, so it's going to show you the code highlighting for your CPP code, right? So here I can just write int main, and then I can just give these curly brackets, and for example I want to print something, so I can just say hello world by std cout hello world in the double quotes, right? And you can see it's doing the highlighting for us. So Nano is good for editing some files which contain some code. So it can recognize if the file is a cpp file or c file or java file or different kind of files. Okay, and it will do the highlighting of or code highlighting for you also, and it can recognize these code files also.